Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions. We're back with another Stoke City vlogcast. With me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm depressed. I might as well say it as it is.
4-0-0s do that to you, don't they?
They do. Goodness knows how you away folks and all your away and home folks are going on. I mean, I'm so frustrated.
I'm going to say I'm amazed there hasn't been a chant yet along the lines of "We'll score again, don't know when."
Oh God, stop. But no, seriously, I don't know what's going on. And like I say, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And I can't even see us scoring.
I mean, the irony is that despite these little criticisms of ours, the people who've actually been to the match, the feedback I've been getting is that we've actually played well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we've deserved to get a 0-0. You know, we have been on the better side in the last two games. So it's encouraging in a sense because it does mean that we're keeping clean sheets. We're not finding ourselves, easy to beat. But equally, we aren't doing enough to actually go the extra step and get the win.
Yeah. Where's Sam Vokes? I thought when I say he's just got a groin strain.
Yeah, this was about a month ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, even after he did it, he didn't look that bad. I mean, he walked along the touchline past us, and he didn't seem in pain at all. He wasn't grimacing or nothing.
It was just like he'd come off precautionary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, this is the trouble with Sam, though. If I followed his career enough, I would say he has had a history of injuries. You know, it's not like bad injuries, but, when he gets one, he struggles to come back from one. So, I feel like we're at the point now where he might not play much the rest of the season, but
That was a tut, by the way.
Yeah, he might not play much for the rest of the season, but if he does, it could be a risk just for the fact that you don't want to risk him for next season. So that's me. I'm wondering if it's worth giving Afobe the mantle for the rest of the season because there's not much to play for, is there?
No, but he's got to up his game.
Well, I think they all have up front. I mean, it's not that we haven't been playing well by the sounds of it, but if it's 4-0-0 speak for themselves. Even if the performances are good, there is obviously something missing to have no end product.
I mean, I just get it that if I was going to match, I'd be bored to tears.
I mean, again, this doesn't seem to be the impression. I mean,
No.
I don't think anyone's actually been saying they're bored. I think they're just hoping for the goals.
Yeah.
And it's strange hearing that because it's not like you can actually criticise it when you're hearing it because, the fans aren't restless. They're just a little frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think that is something, you're feeling especially. But, it's like, what can you do about that?
Yeah. I mean, we've bought our season ticket for next year, and I'm sure. I'm just having flashes that we're going to be in Division 1.
We can't get relegated.
Well,
I wouldn't say actually, maybe we can, but it's going to be highly unlikely. I haven't looked at the table, but I'm going to say it's a big drop down there, especially when you've got the likes of Bolton. They're scrapping. Ipswich are down there. There's just too much going on down there for us to go down.
there is the third spot that we could possibly go down.
There is. That's why I didn't say I'd rule it out, but I think it's mathematically improbable.
Yeah. Well, it's there. I just hope that we are in the Championship.
I mean, last night Ryan Shawcross and Charlie Adam were doing a Q&A, and the main takeaway from that was something Ryan said, that how we've played this season, that we've only lost one more game than Leeds have, but the fact is we haven't converted enough of the draws into wins.
Yeah,
If we had, we'd have been further up the table, as he said. And I'm thinking, well, I can agree with that because we had quite a big draw run with Rowett as well, and it's a case of maybe at times the forward line has let us down. So I think that is what we do need to look at next season. Granted, we need to look at the defence as well in terms of getting a left back in and maybe just finding someone to cover for Tom Edwards. But besides that, I think the front line is where we've got to look really, and the midfield.
Well, all I know is that we've got to get our fingers out and start doing something.
Well, you just started nosing at the sheet, didn't you? Because I think you were trying to remember something regarding Blackburn.
Well, no, I wasn't actually. I've done his stats, but I've done them different this week, and I just wanted to have a look who their top scorer was, to be honest. And Charlie Mulgrew is on 10.
Which I think is incredible for a defender.
Bradley Dack is on 15. And Danny Graham is on 14.
I mean,
You know,
I think Danny Graham's at the correct club in his career. Bradley Dack, I think, is doing fantastic. I think a lot of Stoke supporters would like him come here. And as for Charlie Mulgrew, before we got Danny Bart, I was looking at him and thinking, should we go for him for a couple of years?
Yeah.
Just in the sense that he's not just a good defender, but he also scores a lot from set pieces. I think he's their designated penalty taker as well. So, it's very... Well, I've got to say, I have admiration for Mulgrew there. You don't see centre-halves taking that responsibility a lot, so, credit to him. But, it's one of those where you're looking at Stoke and thinking, that's sort of what we need to improve. We need to have players chipping in from set pieces. We need a number 10 like Bradley Dack's been just doing a bit more, which is hopefully where Bojan's improved performance against Sheffield Wednesday will come into play.
yeah. I mean, looking at that, it makes you wonder how Blackburn aren't further up the table.
If I've just been seeing their results right, I think they've been slightly inconsistent. Maybe they've had scored goals, but they haven't kept them out as well.
Well, I'll just go with my stats actually, while we're talking about that. And I'm just compared them with Stoke. So, Blackburn, they've won 12, drawn 11 and lost 16. They're currently in 16th place on 47 points. Stoke have won 10, drawn 18, lost 11. They're currently in 14th on 48 points. So there's actually nothing between us.
No, which is, again, a surprise. I've had the impression Blackburn have had a slightly better season than us. So, if you're talking about results, obviously, they've just got promoted, so they have had a better season than us. They'd have expected probably to be struggling more than they have, whereas we were expecting to be doing much better than we have. So, on paper they've done better.
They're that far down the table, to be honest.
I mean, we've sort of skipped ahead to Blackburn, but I think it's partly because we haven't got a lot to talk about regarding Sheffield Wednesday. But I just want to touch on them for a second, because we're talking about teams and expectations. Yeah, I feel like Wednesday didn't offer a lot in that game. I mean, for us to be on top, I was a little bit surprised because, I look at that Sheffield Wednesday squad, plus Steve Bruce as the manager, and I thought, right, this is going to be a tough game, and I don't think there was anything of real note from them, was there?
No.
I mean, there wasn't a point when I was listening in and I thought, oh God, we're struggling here, and I don't know if that's praise to us or criticism of them, because, again, I was expecting a bit more. They're very high up the form table at the moment, they're one of the top performing teams in the division. So you're looking at it and you're thinking, what's gone wrong for them in that game, because you're sort of expecting maybe for them to attack more and for us to take advantage, but we didn't seem to.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard somebody say that Bojan had a good game, and his passing was.
Well, when you think he completed his first 90 minutes for, was he 3 years?
Yeah. So that must hold some credit with him. But I still don't feel as if we've got the right team somewhere. Something is missing.
Well, when you think about it, Nathan Jones doesn't play with wingers. His preferred shape is a diamond.
Yeah.
And he's persisting with the current shape because he's got the players for it. But I think come the summer he's going to mix things up, and I think Bojan could play a part if he keeps his performance levels high, because he is built for that number 10 role, and if there are two forwards to feed, then hopefully he can be the supply line.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be interesting to see. I mean, you've just talked about Bo, but Joe Allen's been getting a lot of praise the last game or two.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have actually been saying, those who moaned about Joe Allen, where are you now, and all this lot, and I'm thinking, okay, calm down. He has had good games, he's performing well again, but equally, it doesn't take away some of the iffy games he had. It's the same with all of them, you can suddenly have an increase in form without previous criticisms being invalid. But
I mean, I
yeah.
am one of those people who said about Joe that he was running around like a headless chicken.
Well, it was only the other week we were at the game, and I actually thought he got man of the match, and I couldn't work out how because
No.
I thought you haven't had a good game, Joe.
You know when you run in circles after a brush, you know when you're playing that stupid game, that sort of reminded me.
All right, I've got to admit, I need to know that this game.
It's when you've had a drink. And you have to run around a brush.
Oh, that I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that's what Joe reminded me of when we were,
Yeah.
when I was watching him. And like you said, he got man of the match, and I don't know how he got it.
Yeah, it was as if they needed to award it to someone, and I think we heard someone behind us actually say that's the sponsor wanting Meet Joe Allen, and it's where I'm not criticising him because I'm actually glad he's playing well now, but equally I'm thinking, don't take away the bad stuff. It's like, if someone starts, performing less than they have, I'm not going to suddenly start saying, that was a good game. I'll say it's a bad game, but it's all about balance.
I've never ever bumped Stoke up. When they've been bad, I say they're bad. When they're good, I say they're good.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people who watch a bad game and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, it was a good game. I call a spade. Always have done with Stoke.
Yeah.
And, at the moment, we might be playing okay, but we've got to up a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Even if what we're playing is good, we can do better.
Yeah.
We've got to do better, otherwise we might as well just say we'll take 38 points at the start of the season.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean...
I got my numbers wrong there, it's 46, but never mind.
I mean, in the Prem, when we were in there, we always said, get to 40 points and we're safe.
Yeah.
And we've just got to aim a little bit higher. Well, a lot higher. Because I don't want to be in the Championship all the time. I want to get back with the big teams.
I think there is a mentality shift required, and I think this season might have been the hinge of the shift, in the sense that just listening to that with Ryan and Charlie last night, I think there was an impression from both of them that players didn't react well to the relegation. They thought it would be easier, and the interesting thing is they didn't name names, so you don't know if it's players who maybe came from the relegation, like Joe for instance, or if other players who maybe hopped on board like James McLean were guilty. It's very hard to gauge who they were referring to. For all we know, it might have been a team collective they were referring to, but whichever way it goes, there was responsibility taken there for the poor start and the poor season.
I think it all started against Leeds, obviously.
Yeah.
They thought that they'd go there and they'd whack them. And when they lost, I think it was a jolt to the system. They didn't expect it, and I don't think they've actually got past it.
It was like it paralysed them with fear, as if to say, if that's how well they can play, what's the rest of the league like?
Yeah. But what gets me is that they can pull together with the top teams, and then they make a fool of themselves against the bottom teams.
Well, just look at... we're all moving on from the Wednesday game now. We'll go to the Blackburn game, so any Wednesday supporters listening, thank you. But regarding Blackburn, that was one of those games this season where you just didn't know what was going on because they were 3-0 up. And, I'm just amazed we got back to 3-2. And you're thinking...
Down to Ben for Berry, missing a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sort of summed up our season, to be honest. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just sort of summed up Berahino, given a free chance to score essentially, and he doesn't. He's literally. Well, I don't know. I'm lost for words when it comes to him.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously going to fight like mad on Saturday. Blackburn are.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that most teams in the division are like that.
Yeah.
I think you listen back to most of the vlogcasts and we've said that each week. I think, to be honest, most of the teams come across as right dirty sods when we read off the yellow cards.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done yellow cards for them this week. I was just too frustrated, I think, in what I was writing down. That I just thought I'd do the comparison against the two.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe how close we are to Blackburn.
Well, the awkward thing is, when you've been doing your stats, it's not as if you've been able to update the Stoke column recently, because you can't say there's been any goals or assists.
No,
You know,
nothing,
it's been unchanged since Nottingham, so,
Yeah.
that's quite a way back for us now.
But I think on Saturday we've got to get out of this rut. And they've got to think of you lot out there who go to the matches. And they've got to play for the supporters a bit as well.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm actually a little concerned with this game, because I think Blackburn are quite disciplined in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't think they're impenetrable, but I believe if they've got if they essentially start the game and say, right, we're going to sit, we're going to hold 2 banks of 4 or whatever their shape is, and we'll try and sit back and soak up the pressure you give us, then we'll break and attack. And I know they're the home side, and maybe there'll be a desire from the crowd to attack, but if they think to themselves, right, Stoke have got the better players, let them come on to us, we're in for trouble, because I don't think we can break down a team still, so we're pretty much reliant on counter-attacks.
Yeah. I mean, I know people might say what I'm going to say next doesn't matter, but to me, the crowd have got to get behind Stoke, because I'm sure it spurs them on to know that the crowd are behind them, and not just when they score a goal. Sorry, they haven't scored one for 4 matches. So.
Yeah.
But I do think that the crowd have got to get behind them and let them see that yes, we're still coming here after such terrible results. And
I think there is a case of, I always remember there was a debate online somewhere about the idea of, should the crowd encourage the players first, or should the players encourage the crowd first? And I think this is where sometimes the crowd do sit back a little bit, in the sense of, alright, we'll just wait for you to, have a good attack, then we'll start going. And I think maybe sometimes when the going's a little tough like it is right now, just get going. I mean, if anything, I'd back the away crowd to do it more than the home crowd, because those who go away are obviously the loudest, in my view.
Yeah.
They're the ones who want to support them home and away. So, yeah, for me, I think we've got a good chance of backing them at Blackburn, but it's obviously an away game, so the Blackburn crowd will be the louder you would suspect.
But the Stoke ground, whether it be Victoria or here, 365, the crowd have always influenced, and the away supporters have come here knowing that they're going to be outshouted by us, by our crowd.
Yeah.
And it just isn't happening. And I know that it doesn't make a difference, but does it?
I know where you're coming from. It's like with that Aston Villa game. The Villa fans were vocal throughout the entire game, and I was a little disappointed at that, just for the fact that it was the Gordon Banks memorial game. I really had hoped we'd, try and turn up for him as much as anything. And I'm going to say it was a little disappointing just to have a quiet crowd again.
I'm going back to the Liverpool game, the 6-1, and that first goal that we scored, after that, all the crowd kept singing was attack. And it was a wonderful sound, hearing everyone shouting attack. It made goosebumps come on me arms.
It was essentially the crowd saying, we know we've got them, so
Yeah.
go for them.
Yeah, and they did.
The trouble is, we haven't got that team right now, and I think, I know that's blatantly obvious, but it's a case of...
But the Booth end are still the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just where we maybe need to find our own mojo as fans again.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I think we have become very complacent in the last 5 years or so, especially since that game. Because we've been used to some good football, underused, and, it's just not coming back, or at least in that shape anyway. So I think, don't get me wrong, Jones could do well. We could actually have some very exciting football in this division under him. But I don't think we're going to have the likes of what people perceived was the greatest front line of Shaqiri, Bojan, Afellay and Arnautovic. We're not going to have that again. No, so what we need now is focus on the future.
Yeah, I think when Jones brings in his own players in the summer, I think we will see a difference because it'll be how he wants to play.
Yeah, the impressions I'm getting from him is he won't bring in a James McLean, for instance, someone on the just about to go on the wrong side of 30. Yeah. So that gives me promise. Whether the player is of any quality is something that we'll have to see when the names start being revealed. But I've got hope that if he's at least going in that direction, we as a club are going to go in the right direction, because I think going young is always better than going for experience. So
yeah. I mean, I've got faith in him. I've got to admit that I have got faith in him. I heard an interview with him and he's got the faith.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely there, and I think this is one of the things that got people with Rowett, that he didn't exactly give people reasons to have faith in him. It's like I've saying that McLean signing really baffled people. I think if he hadn't have signed him and, maybe the others had carried on, there wouldn't have been as much doubt, but people immediately look at James McLean and think, why?
Yeah.
And I think even the Cuco Martina one got people questioning, but, it's like I say, there were questionable signings, but I think that James McLean one was the one that made people go, what? And I think Jones is shrewd enough not to make a signing like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've just got to wait, to be honest, folks, and see what he does come up with. But I'm confident that he is going to have a good team.
I mean, I'm not against experience. I mean, I've been praising Charlie Mulgrew during this video because I think he's done well at Blackburn. I mean, Danny Graham, he's on the other side of 30 now, if I remember right, and he's doing fantastic there as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not against experienced players doing well in this division. It's more a case of, I do believe Stoke's time now is to try and go for youthful and young players.
Yeah.
And it's a case of, we've got a few coming through the academy. I mean, Tybalt de Linden, I think, needs to start the next game. I think he should be playing against Blackburn. I think McLean is the one actually who should drop out, not necessarily because of bad performances, but his end product's a bit low. So maybe getting someone in who is a bit more energetic could be helpful. But besides that, we've got Tom Edwards, who's, I don't think he's had a bad game since we saw him. So that's one thing, at least. He's been doing well in this sequence of 0-0s. And, you're just looking at it, you're thinking, if a few of those other young players, Lasse Sorensen, you've got Ollie Shenton, if he can ever break out of that youth team. You've got, obviously, Harry Suter, Tyrese Campbell out on loan.
Yeah.
If any of those can come back and actually get their place in this team, we have got a young team in the making.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I said about England. England were playing all the old uns, and I said, what are they playing old uns for? They should be bringing the young players in, and this is where I think with the league, we should be bringing the young players in and getting rid of the old men.
I mean, it's a straight...
everybody ages, they can't help it.
The thing you can't help but ignore is England with Callum Hudson-Odoi. They've given him a chance, and he's obviously taken it by getting his first appearance and then his first start for England.
And was it Carlos or somebody?
Jadon Sancho you're talking about?
Yeah.
A bit out there.
I don't know why I call him that.
But yeah, the point being, they gave these players a chance in the England team, and then with Callum Hudson-Odoi, he still hasn't made a start for Chelsea in the league, and apparently he's going to make a start in the next 2 games. But you're looking at it and you're thinking, why is it that his country has had to give him a chance before his club?
Yeah.
So it's a situation where, you're looking at Chelsea, they're not doing as great as they should in the league, and you're thinking, maybe that's where we are. It's a bit of a natural parallel.
Yeah, and I do think they deserve a chance, the young ones. And I honestly believe that the situation we're in at the minute, why not give them a chance?
I'm in total agreement.
I mean, if the more experienced player can't do it, bring the young ones in and see if they can make a difference.
So, we've got about 1 minute left. What is your prediction for the Blackburn game?
2-1 Stoke.
I feel like that's becoming a regular prediction.
Shut up. It's usually 1-0.
Well, I'm going to be pessimistic and go for 0-0.
Right.
I'm going to go for a record of 5. I'm going to say we're going to be record holders. Come on!
Shut up. What I did want to say as well last week is I'm so sorry that Johnny Walters has retired.
Oh, yeah.
He is my favourite Mr. Lush. And I'm so sorry he's retired.
Yeah, best wishes in your retirement, Johnny. But yeah, that's it for this week. So if you've enjoyed the vlogcast, leave it a like. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. We're back on Sunday to do the preview for the Swansea game. Thanks, everyone.
Potters, folks. Have a good match on Saturday. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye for now.